Good evening. Good evening. So a few remarks. It will be a short video with a few not really related remarks. First, regarding the PED video, probably I'll speak about it more tomorrow. It's not of extreme importance. It's just interesting, in the general scheme of events. But I have a few, I would say, comments. First of all, a couple of days ago, I've spoken about the issue of like the big life form, the colossi microbes, and I've said it in the beginning. Like I saw that maybe just sculptures, but I've received very quickly comments from the Israelis. Probably that's what I've said, that these are living creatures, and the same kind of comments I've received like later now when it's like more open to the public. But it obviously wasn't the Israelis, because the Israelis don't even care about what I said at all. Of course, when I say the Israelis, the Israelis don't really listen to anything. The only now, at that point when they're almost all dead, they've kind of started like listen to something, a little bit, but usually they don't have like the attention span to even like listen to these videos at all. And their ego is far too high, to even to think that they should take it into account. It's against the religion that they should even think about whatever I say, because from their perspective I should be less than a mattress. That's and it's more important for them than life itself. So obviously whoever commented in 6 months ago or something like that, or on any other video, it wasn't the Israelis, maybe the Americans, and maybe some other people that had access to the videos, because it's not difficult to have access to these videos. Mostly you just need to want it. People didn't care at all about it. If people wanted it, they could have had access to it. So maybe it's the Americans and maybe someone else. I don't know. Whoever it was, it doesn't really matter. To say who it was, because the whole issue. I would say the second coming of Christ. The whole issue of my existence. The main point is to differentiate between the people that move arms and legs and the people that do not. This is the question. This is the question that my birth in and my parents in this world. The question that my birth and my parents raised. Do you intend to move arms and legs in order to rescue the innocent and his family from the teeth of the Nazis, or do you mean to continue the discussion, a discussion that was started long before I was born? Because I was born in 1984, but this discussion started long before that. It's a very old discussion. It started, at the beginning of the 20th century, and it's still taking place. And the reason for the starships that are above us, as I said many times, they are here. They are finding the people of the earth, not because you ate the tea, even though it was in something that you shouldn't have done, and it's an amazing scene, and it's related to many other scenes. But that's not the reason why they fight the earth. They fight the earth because they cannot stand the conversation. And I've said it many, many times. They cannot listen to you conversing on the topic of what's the best course of action, with regard to the child cannibalism issue. They cannot listen to you discussing conversing the child cannibalism issue. They cannot listen to it. And moreover, they will not allow any sentient race in this universe to discuss this topic, for too long. And you've discussed it for 100 years. So no, this discussion is over. The starships above us, and I've just, now I went outside for a little stroll, and I've seen it just above us, as usual. They're flying the earth because they cannot stand the conversation. Because they cannot stand the sentient creatures that is conversing for too long, or on the topic of what to do with regard to child cannibalism. No, you do not converse. In this universe, you do not converse on the topic of child cannibalism. You won with the mouth closed. You won with the mouth closed to delete the people that participate in child cannibalism, and when they are all dead, only then you allow yourself to open the shithole that God has given you, and placed in the middle of your face. Not before they are all dead. Only then do you allow yourself to open your mouth. But you Homo sapiens, you discussed the issue for more than 100 years, and they cannot stand this. That's why they came, and that's why the earth is fight, because of the conversation. they cannot stand the conversation. This conversation is, I mean, it passes many light years. It reaches them in their home world, and they cannot stand this conversation. They cannot stand even a moment of this conversation of how to stop the child cannibalism. They cannot stand it. That's why they destroy the humanity. They cannot stand the conversation. And when I was born in 1984, it was already clear that, I mean, that Israel as a state is dead, and it will only be left, if at all, as a province of the United States. And this is a province that is run by the cruel children, without any sovereignty. And that the only question that, I mean, that is still left is like, of the other nations, I mean, is anybody going to move arms and legs, or, I mean, do they continue to move the tongue like they've done until then? So, obviously, I mean, doesn't really matter like whoever like moved like tongue, I mean, 6 months ago or 3 months ago. It's of no consequence. The only question is, do anybody, I mean, intend to move the arm and the leg, or just, I mean, it's a lost cause? Now, with regards to the clone issues, I've spoken about it so much that I don't want to repeat it more, but, I mean, it's just that, I mean, like, I think about it, I mean, so maybe I have, like, I don't know, another, like, clone in, like, I don't know, in the south and in the north and, like, in Jerusalem. I've once speculated about it, that there are, like, 4 of me, like, one in Tel Aviv, like, I'm the Titan of Tel Aviv. Maybe there is, like, one in Jerusalem, one in the south, one in the north. But, I mean, think about it. I mean, you have the starships, I mean, information that directs you to Tel Aviv. What do you want more than that? Like, I mean, what do you want more? And they do not direct to any other place, because it is, I mean, they direct to a specific city. I mean, from different like places in Israel, you do not see the stars that, I mean, are all engulfing, like the ships that are engulfed the stars like you see it from here. It's impossible. It's an impossibility, because this is, I mean, you know, it's like a point of view related. And what do we need more than that? So you hear me speak. You watch me, I mean, go outside like for strolls. So you can say, yes, but you walk, I mean, close to places that are known to be used by the Shabak, like the Setai Hotel or the Tel Aviv University. I mean, this kind of like things could, I mean, of course, they would place, like, I mean, I'm under arrest, and of course they would place the arrest, like, in places that, I mean, are close to, I mean, places that are, I mean, you know, that are of interest to the Shabak. I mean, it doesn't mean anything. It means actually nothing at all. And I'm the easiest person in the world to follow if you just want to see if I truly get into the Setai Hotel or into the Tel Aviv University. And it's extremely easy to know that I've never been not in the Setai Hotel, and many years since I went to this Tel Aviv University. Many years. Just, I mean, but more than everything, you just need to listen to me, to listen to the words. Do you think that, I mean, the Son of God, or if you want to, to conceptualize it as an ambassador of another sentient race that is far more superior than you, do you think that such a person would have, like, acted in such a vile way like the clones? Does it make sense? If you think that it makes sense, then you are really, all of you are irredeemable. Because, I mean, your ego is just far too high. What kind of ego do you need in order to think that, I mean, the Son of God or the ambassador of an ancient advanced civilization would have been like a pervert and psycho and, like, you know, murderer and a rapist? What kind of a stupid, I mean, how ridiculous can you be? How much can you be consumed by the ego or by Satan? It's absolutely stupid. And yes, of course, what you need to do is to move arms and legs, not mouths and tongues. I'm subjected to unbelievable cruelty, unbelievable torture. I cannot wipe my ass without honking of a car. This kind of torture, and at the same time, I mean, the great people of Israel and the supporters in the United States expect me to participate in mock trials where I should presumably defend myself with a mock lawyer and a mock defense, and everything is mockery. And of course, participate in the crucifixion of myself and my daughters, I mean, with the assistance of social workers. Now, it should be said, I've said it many times, but maybe it's worthwhile to say it again, even though I've said it so many times. About like 8 months ago, or almost 9 months ago, it was February, I've said it very clearly that what happened is that the Israelis, they had like the tahbula, you know, the trickery, You know, the תחבולות תעשה לך מלחמה, as they will say, I mean, the mode of the Mossad, like it with tricks you should, I mean, conduct your wars. I mean, so they had an amazing trick that the female, like, I mean, operators that operate my XSO, significant other, they operated her to start a new trial against me in like a new custody trial, so I will not see my daughters because they wanted my daughters to be eaten by them. Of course, using the usual way of torturing them all their life until they commit suicide by the age of 20 or so, it was very common by the Titans, and then eating the corpse. This is like a usual procedure. But I mean, and the mother cannot avoid it because she is a slave of the Shabak, but I am, half the time, they're with me. But it was, I mean, they wanted to avoid it. I mean, they wanted the daughters to me to be outside my protection. And that's why, I mean, since they were born, I mean, the social workers always tried to take them from me. So they thought, I mean, yeah, we have a great idea. The social workers of Shoam, they will operate the mother against, like me, in the trial, and they will also be the people that write the social workers review that the verdict of the judge is basing the verdict upon it. I mean, you understand what kind of a trick they had? Like, I mean, then so they control both sides. They both, like, I mean, control the prosecution. Like, I mean, the side that wants to take their daughters from me, but they also write the review that, I mean, according to Israeli law, I mean, the judge is basing his verdict, I mean, according to this review. And before this review was written, and before, I mean, they came to my place, I mean, to see they call it like interaction, like how presumably how I handle, like, how I treat my daughters, I mean, for like 45 minutes. After like a month or 2 months that they haven't seen me, and since then, I mean, it's 9 months that they haven't seen me at all. I mean, outside of like WhatsApp calls. And before they came to my place, I've said it many times, and I've said, like, it was recorded in YouTube. I've said it. This is a declaration of war. What you do right now, this trickery, this like this very smart trickery of operating the mother against the father, so the children will be taken to be eaten by the predators, while the people that operate the mother are also the ones that write the court, the review to the court, like they also write the verdict. This trickery is a declaration of war. And I've said it before it actually was written. Of course I knew what's going to be like the result. And before they actually came to visit me, I've told you many times in this channel, if you want to avoid this declaration of war, you will prohibit them from getting into my apartment. Because if they get into my apartment, they will write a review, and this will be a declaration of war, and you will never be able to take it back. No matter how come, 10 facts here or 5 facts here, crazy facts here and crazy facts there. All these ridiculous YouTube thumbnails will not help you. I've said it very clearly. This will be a declaration of war. Never mind that, I mean, for almost 40 years you tortured me in so many ways. But all of this torture, I mean, it was not a declaration of war. But what is going to happen? I've said it clearly. What's going to happen now with these social workers that operate the mother in a trial, while they also going to write a review to the court, this is a declaration of war against a sentient race, a sentient species. Humanity, not the social workers in Shoam, not the Israelis, not the Americans, humanity is going to write a formal declaration of war against the cherubs, against the sentient species much more ancient than them and tremendously more powerful. And they will never forgive you, and they will annihilate you. And I've said it many times, and not an arm or a leg had been moved, only mouses and tongues. And of course, they visited me, and of course, I mean, the interaction was great. Of course, I'm their father, they grew up with me, and of course, I mean, in the report, it was written very plainly that they cannot see them at all outside, like, I mean, maybe 1 hour a week, under the supervision of these exactly the same social workers, so they will be able to use the bicycle mechanism to infect us with diseases and take out immune system from us, of course. And I've said it, and since then I've said it many times, this is a declaration of war. You cannot, now whatever you will say, fact here, fact that, it doesn't matter. This was a declaration of war. And not long after that, the spaceship started to form here. And now, like say 8 months after that, you see most of the starships already in formation. But I personally still haven't seen the bigger ones. I don't know if you've seen it using telescopes or something like that. I don't know. Maybe I will. I mean, later, like tonight, I will actually get outside and just to search for the bigger ones. But certainly they are on the way, the huge ones. But just to remind you, there is more than 100 small ones. And the smaller one, each of the smaller one is much larger than the fictional USS Enterprise, which is tremendous in size. And each of the smaller one is like dwarfs like the USS Enterprise, from the fictional Star Trek. In other words, the small ones are leviathans, like are huge, and there is like more than 100 now that you can see by the naked eye around the Earth, and the bigger ones are coming, and the bigger ones are bona fide star destroyers. And they arrive because you declared a war. You started a war against another sentient species. This trickery, operating the wife against the mother against the father, so the children will be taken to be eaten, while the operators are also the ones that are writing the review to the court. This trickery was a declaration of war against another species. And we've told you that it's going to be like that before it happened many times, but not an arm has moved or not a leg has moved. And now you see the starships above you. They are above you because of what you've done, and specifically because these social workers review. This was the declaration of war. You should understand it. You should understand what you've done, and that there is a reason for what you watch actually happening right now. Just watch this channel, watch the old videos. It is described online. Nothing was hidden from you. We've told you this trickery, this smart essery, this very wise move of operating the mother against the father, so the children will be eaten by the predators, while the operators are the ones that are writing the review to the court. This trickery is a declaration of war against an ancient sentient species. We've told you this sentence was uttered again and again in this channel, but nobody moved an arm or a leg. And now you see the starships. And you should know, the starships are here because you declared the war. You declared the war. You, humans, not social workers, not Israelis, you humans, you have declared the war against us. And that's why you see the starships, and that's why they are frying all of the earth. And soon there will be not one human being without brain cancer. Because the war that you started, and because this very smart move that the social workers of Shoam executed.